Go damage that fool. Hell yeah. Man, look at my damage, bro. Press buttons hard. Press button fast. Damage. Bro, do you even DPS? Help me, stupid. Oh, fuck. The tank keeps moving. Dude, why you move? Fuck my damage, dude.
Shut up, man. Your DPS brain cannot understand what it means to tank, position, control, establish routes.
Man, shut the fuck up. Tanking is easy. Now, let's see. Who is the best tank right now? So best tank is Vengeance DH. Tantur. Build threats. Pop-up situation. Psen. Got that one from party. See, man, easy to tank.
Do you know who you remind me of, dude?
This guy?
Chelsea 4. So really United 1.
Oh yeah, totally. No, man. Every other DPS who stands in shit and gets cleaved.
Yeah, this guy.
West Blue, which? Nil. Tottenham Hotspur Space 1.
You're a lost cause.
Shut up, I do big damage. Tanks are noobs.
Tanking is a craft you can master, and to master it, you definitely need talents, covenants, conduits, legendaries, rotations, and clearly a lot more. So stick around, and you too will learn
Vyasgens Diamond Hunters.
But enough about that. You too can learn more about Vengeance, clearly, and other specs as well, be it DPS and healers alike. So just subscribe and enable those notifications. Oh, you already are? Well, you are a liar! Hey man, 80% of you guys are not subscribed and stuff, and clicking that bell thingy might help us raise funds for Marcelian's reading tutor. I'm joking. Marcelian can totally read. Damage meters. Transition! On the first row of the talents you have Agonizing Flames to start with. And to explain it, you need to know that there are two main builds, the offensive with more DPS potential and the tanky build. Each have talents that fill into their respective niches. We recommend always going the tanky first to get a feel of the class, and with that goes Agonizing Flames. This paired up with the next two rows will net you a playstyle that maximizes Fiery Brand spread and uptime on multiple targets. Even in raids, this will overall increase the window in which you have a damaging reduction effect up. For the DPS build, Abyssal Strike is the go-to. More Infernal Strikes means more Sigils. You also need to understand that you are using your mobility ability for DPS, specifically since it's off the GCD and you can fit it into your rotation pretty easily. But it being a mobility skill as well creates the counter argument that it can also be used to kite, specifically in dungeons. Tank damage is real this time around, and kiting is something you will find yourself often doing. So you could say Abyssal Strike has a double function, to increase DPS and also survivability, with the latter applying in dungeons mostly. Next up, in raids or generally when your goal is to tank one thing, Fallout will be your choice. It offers you the most value in boss fights where the other options will lack a bit. More soul fragments can give you control over your health spike and might fill in gaps in your mitigation if needed. This is also the choice you want for the DPS build, since it gives you more souls on demand to use for spirit bombs, where in dungeons, burning alive is the go-to when you want to be super tanky, and the second building block of the Fiery Brand build. Fiery Brand being spread increases the overall tankiness you have and deals damage, of course. But with the build Vengeance has this patch, Fiery Brand is more active in your rotation, and this talent builds on that. To get it out of the way quick, Spirit Bomb is the offensive choice for all content, like mentioned before. If you are outgearing the content or simply not interested in pushing high enough, Spirit Bomb can net you the most value, both in raids and in dungeons. Spirit Bomb will also be played with a different legendary, and we will get to that later in the video. Vice versa, if you are struggling to survive in high keys, Charred Flesh will make Immolation Aura increase the duration of Fiery Brand. Couple it with Agonizing Flames and Burning Alive and you will legit increase the uptime and targets affected by Fiery Brand, hence taking reduced damage from everything around you. This is one of the contributing factors to Vengeance's tankiness and why it's outperforming other tanks at this moment. For raids, Infernal Armor can and will probably be your best choice if you want to maximize survivability. Again, this also works with Agonizing Flames, and with so many options, you can definitely aim for the one most suited for the content you do. Haven't seen Vengeance have these many options since that one time WoW received no complaints from the players. Hey! Next row, Fracture. Surprised? Don't be. Sheer spam is ridiculous and boring, with the souls being a resource you can and should manage to an extent. Fracture gives more control and eats up useless globals that could otherwise be spent on other tools to keep you alive or build aggro. This essentially works well because Vengeance has two abilities that eat up Fury, with Spirit Bomb being a third if you have it talented. Fell Devastation is one of them with a big 1-minute cooldown, and Soul Cleave is the second. Soul Cleave is interesting since it works into your Legendaries, so you really want it to consume soul fragments all the time. Other than this, all other abilities either have a cooldown or charges, so there is no real reason to spam Sheer like a maniac when you could be doing so much more with your globals outside the Fury resource. Next up, Quickened Sigils will be your go-to for all content, especially in raids. It works well in giving you more uptime on your sigils, but most importantly, it reduces the cooldown of Elysian Decree, which we will get to in the Covenant section. Sigil of Chains is the utility option mostly used in dungeons to control adds, break casts, and group them up nicely. This is down to your discretion and playstyle, since more mobs are so far away from each other that Sigil of Chains might not do the job properly all the time, so might as well have faster decrees. Sigil of Flames, Spears, Silences, and so on, cause the kit is pretty big. The 6th row brings Demonic. Hell yeah! If you haven't played Vengeance in Shadowlands yet, this is new, and with this, Fell Devastation is baseline. You won't get Demonic as often as Havoc, but the fact that meta is such a strong defensive, this is already often enough. Although the other options are cool on paper, their functionality is so underwhelming that Demonic will be your best choice here. And lastly, same argument as before, Last Resort is the way to go. A cheat death even on a long cooldown is amazing in progression content, be it raids or high keys. You probably know already how good meta is, even as we mentioned it just now, but the other options are just meh. Maybe if they get buffed. Tank stat priority has always been a bit straightforward. Agility is at the top, that means eye level. Eye level means not only agility, main stat, but stamina and armor, which are not something you can sim for. It's nice to maximize damage, but without a sense of how tanky you are, it will hardly be something you should aim for. Because of how the kit works, haste is your main stat, but only slightly ahead of versatility. Haste reduces the cooldown of demon spikes, increasing their uptime, which is your main source of mitigation. Versatility is going to boost your entire kit, and surviving is your first priority. Crit and Mastery at the bottom. Those are not necessarily amazing stats, but not bad either. With two weapons, you want Lightless Force on your main hand, while your offhand can be either Celestial Guidance for more tankiness or Sinful Revelation for single target damage. We always recommend starting with the tankiness variants first if given the choice. As such, on your chest, go with Eternal Stats and Heavy Desolate Armor kit, while your cloak will get the Soul Vitality because you are a big fat sponge that soaks up all the damages. Put some Eternal Agility on your boots and you will be Gucci. For your gems, I would recommend going with Haste in Quick Jewel Cluster. Similarly, take Tenet of Haste for rings. Haste provides you with a more fluid playstyle and faster mitigation that all translates into more tankiness, although you can always up them up for versatility once you get more gear. Alchemy has opened up more options for you this time around. Potion of Spectral Agility will be your general choice for all content. It works both defensively and offensively, but does not offer one or the other in the most amount of throughput you can get. Potion of Phantom Fire will give you way more single target damage, usually good in raids and dungeon bosses, while Potion of Empowered Exorcisms will blow shit up in AoE. As a somewhat spiky tank in terms of HP levels, it's always good to keep a spiritual healing potion on hand. And of course, don't forget your Spectral Flask of Power, if anything, and your weapon oils. Shadowcore Oil is the DPS option that also empowers the DPS potions, while Embalmer's Oil provides a bit more tankiness. If your game is max DPS, you can put Shadowcore on both weapons, by the way. Eat a Feast in raids, or if you are a rich son of a gun. Or go with Tenebrous Crone Roast Aspic in all other situations for the haste buff. And that's all for consumables. Let's get into the new shit. Although the differences between Covenants create niches for them to excel in, Kyrian will be by far your best choice right now. The damage gained from Elysian Decree not only keeps your threat levels in I don't give a fuck about it zone, but the damage itself is one of the main reasons Vengeance Demon Hunter is so sought after, especially in high keys. That plus the strength from Pelagos with 2 potency and 2 endurance conduits will give you the most amount of value to start with while renown is capped. Clea is also the soulbind that will more than likely scale the best endgame when everything is unlocked. The immunity the potion offers is crazy good, 10% max shield between pulls cannot be overlooked either, and crit to parry shit? Hells yeah! As for the conduits, your number one will be Repeat Decree, or your Covenant equivalent if you choose otherwise. Growing Inferno is your other ideal potency conduit you should definitely aim to get. For endurance, Fell Defender seems to perform the best at the moment, and I mean, can you be surprised even? Look at that tooltip. Shattered Restoration and Viscous Ink are also good alternatives you can be looking at. Lastly, aim to get Fellfire Haste if you do go for a route with a Finesse conduit option. Unsurprisingly, there are a few really good tank trinkets you can aim and should aim for in 9.0. Blood Spattered Scale is maybe the most famous one right now, and especially good in dungeons and scenarios with more than one target, ideally 5. It drops from the other side and can be amazing even at lower eye levels. Splintered Heart of Alar is the raid equivalent where this can act as a second cheat death and a big ass absorb and heal. It also damages allies, but who cares about those noobs? Another trinket that shines a lot, maybe even better than Alar, is the Stone Legion Heraldry, particularly if more people in your group have it. The versatility buff is unquestionably good and speaks for itself. Otherwise, you can always aim for easier to farm ones like Hateful Chain or Overcharged Anima Battery. Any stat trinkets that gives you haste or versatility can be a good replacement, especially when looking to optimize tankiness. There are 2 main legendaries you can be looking at right now. Fiery Soul can be considered the main one. It makes the Fiery Brand build a thing, and is the one we have alluded to earlier in the video. Clearly, this is the ideal for pushing content that can kill you easily. Also, this is why Spirit Bomb is a bit counterproductive unless you really want that damage from the bomb. Alternatively, Razilik's Defilement is the offensive choice that lowers the cooldown of your Elysian Decree. Yes, with this legendary you will probably take Sigil of Flame out of your rotation since you want the random cooldown reduction to be aimed at Elysian Decree, which it will if Decree is the only sigil you have on cooldown. When in single target, you open with Infernal Strike into Immolation Aura, followed by Elysian Decree as you land to make sure all the burst damage lands properly and it's not wasted. If you talented Spirit Bomb, use Fracture, then Spirit Bomb here. Fell Devastation next when the Fury is available, Soul Cleave after, Sigil of Flame if you are not using Razilik Lego, and finish with Fracture if you haven't talented Spirit Bomb. The general priority sees Infernal Strike at the top of the list, followed by Elysian Decree. Fiery Brand on cooldown, ideally followed by Spirit Bomb if you talented and there are 4 or more souls active. Fell Devastation next, followed by Soul Cleave to prevent capping Fury or to build aggro. Fracture next to not cap on souls since you ideally want to consume them with Soul Cleave. Same argument with Immolation Aura. Sigil of Flame on cooldown if you have the Fiery Brand Lego, and use Throglaive as a filler or when you are on the move. The priority is actually the same in AoE, aka dungeon packs, with maybe one note that you want to use Fiery Brand on the most dangerous mob in the group. Sure, it will eventually spread to the rest, but efficiency is key here. Other than this, a simple understanding of your kit should tell you the rest. Demon Spikes when taking heavy or multiple melee hits, trying to keep it up as much as you can, or rotate it with Fiery Brand. Use Silence and Fear sigils to control ads, and so on. Don't get me wrong, there are definitely more nuances to the spec, and you can get more tips in the Fellhammer Discord where the top Vengeance tanks tackle the hard stuff. A big thanks to Exidius and Itamae, did I get that right? Who helped fact check and clarify some of the more nuanced details of the spec. They are the authors of the Icy Veins and Wowhead guides respectively, and you can check them out for way more details. Also, shout out to Panthea for writing the tank notes at tanknotes.com that help all of the tanks tackle raid bosses and dungeons and can raise your playstyle to the next level. Thank you very much. And appreciation is going to be shown to our patrons for supporting our content time and time again. Yes, we do say this every time, but we do actually appreciate your support, and it does actually matter and help us build this even more into cooler and cooler stuff. Dear viewer, if you enjoyed this video and you want to support us a little bit more, check the link down below to our Patreon page. There are some goodies in store, and it definitely is appreciated if you want to give a little bit more. Thank you very much for watching the video. Catch us streaming at twitch.tv/MarcelianOnline, and we'll see you next time.
I've been loving it then, I still love it now. Still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. Getting better every day, let me show you how. Cause still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. It's getting harder to stay, but at the end of the day, it's a guilty pleasure, so just log in and play. Whether it's classic or retail, I'ma do a /bow. Still, I play WoW.